Hi there, welcome back. Now, a short video today where I want to talk about Evita. No, not that one.
Don't cry for...
Yeah, that one. Well, it's not specifically Evita. The reason I'm using Evita as an example is that this specific musical is at the forefront of my mind at the moment. Not least because over the past few weeks, I have been to see a production of it and also been involved in playing in the band for another production of it. But more about that in another video. The musical director has lots to think about during any production, but having a connection with those that you've been rehearsing with for months on end must be up there on your list of priorities. So in this video, let's talk about the musical director's connection. If you haven't done so already, then please do subscribe by hitting the red button, and do let me know if there are any specific subjects you'd like me to cover, or you can email me directly at musicdirectoronline@gmail.com. Recently, and for the first time, I've had the chance to play in the pit for a production of Evita. And as there was a production quite close to my home a few weeks before, I thought I'd buy myself a ticket, become a member of the audience, and head off to see what I'd let myself in for. The venue in this instance has a balcony that wraps itself around the stalls, and therefore I got myself a seat virtually 90 degrees to the orchestra pit, therefore had an excellent view of the orchestra and the MD. Now, Mr. Lloyd Webber didn't make this musical a particularly easy play, let alone easy to conduct. And the stick conductor in this production did an excellent job ensuring he conducted it accurately throughout, including the very tricky time signature passages that this score involves. In fact, as a conductor, it was flawless. But as someone that needs to encourage, inspire, motivate and work with the company, he hardly connected with those on stage at all. He spent most of his time with his head in his book and hardly looked at his performers whatsoever. Now, once your production gets to the theatre, we MDs have more than enough to think about, of course we do. From a conducting point of view, and in very simplistic terms, we set the pace of the music. We start the number, we finish the number. And between starting and finishing, we can change the pace of the number. But throughout, we need to connect with those performers on stage. Along with what we do with our arms, waving our arms about, what we do with our facial expressions, where we look, how we connect with the stage can mean a great deal to those we have been rehearsing with for months previously. Now, I have known music directors, and I've done this myself, that will start a number, and as long as the number has a regular tempo, we then transfer all our attention and energy onto what's happening on stage. Occasionally we may cue a musician that's been tacit for a while, but we would sing along, mouth the words with our fellow performers. In other words, feel the performance and the music and don't get bogged down in constantly having to beat every bar. This technique will always add to the connection those performers crave. Example. TV and film companies use the technique where anyone being interviewed doesn't look directly at the camera. They look towards the side as if there's a third person in the room, and all their comments is directed elsewhere. Off-putting, isn't it? Because these are the most powerful connection tool you have. Conducting is not just about the orchestra and the band. You should use your eyes to connect with your company. Use your facial expressions to motivate, inspire and encourage. If it's a happy, up-tempo type number, then bounce along with the company. If it's sad and melancholy, your conducting technique changes anyway to something more gentle, softer, smaller and in line with the mood of the music. Many years ago, I played in a pit orchestra where the conductor rarely looked up from his book all night. It was a little-known musical, little known to the public as well as we musicians in the band. Like Evita, it was full of some tricky time signature changes, but also had a great deal of varied dynamics. Some tender, quiet moments followed by some huge fortissimo stab chords. He would have his head in his book, he would conduct accurately and in tempo, and here comes the big stab chord. Oh, there it was. Did we all get that? No, of course we didn't. All the conductor's efforts were on waving his baton in a regular beat fashion. Hardly ever did he acknowledge his performers, let alone look at us in the band. Now, of course, if you're involved in a musical that's been running for some time, such as a Broadway or West End production, then you'll notice that these MDs don't have the same enthusiasm that I'm advocating. But amateur and community theatre is different and doesn't have the same time advantage associated with such productions, and therefore we need to offer every ounce of inspiration to our performers that we can muster. I've advocated many times that if you're learning to become an MD of any musical, one of the best things you can do is become a performer on stage yourself. You'll soon understand what you need for such a role and how important and useful the encouragement I'm talking about is. So whether you're a stick conductor and use one of these, or a pencil conductor and use one of these, or a hand conductor and use neither, what you have in these, in this, and these are your tools of connection. Remember to use them at all times. You'll be amazed at how much more you can get from your company. As a conductor, you're there for your company to remember, not just for your fellow musicians. Stop getting hung up on the technicalities of what's written in the score and start to feel the music. See you next time.